back to another episode of Rocking Midlife, the podcast, and I have a wonderful guest joining us today all the way from Canada. Please welcome Serena. Welcome.
Hi, Kat. Nice to see you.
Yes, so good to see you. So Serena and I met initially at the Forever Fierce conference that I attended in 2018, which seems so long ago, doesn't it, with everything that's happened in between. Amazing. Yeah. But one thing that really attracted me to Serena, not just the fact that she's a lovely lady, but her artwork. At the time, she presented the most amazing painting to Catherine, the lady who was hosting the conference. And this painting was more than just a portrait. It was beautiful, but something in it, she'd captured Catherine's essence. And I wanted to know more, stalked her online, and here we are today. So what I'm going to do before we dive into some conversation, because we've been having a great old chat before I press record, I'm just going to read a little bit of an intro about you, Serena, okay?
Okay.
So Serena creates art with a vision to connect and empower women. And her focus is on portrait and figure paintings. Her passion is stories, and she brings that out in the painting about the person. She believes that everyone has defining moments in their lives that they learn lessons from, and that these have the ability to shape their futures. So I love, again, it's like using your talent, using your art with a purpose. So she wants to help other women see themselves in her artwork and be able to honour every part of their journey too, while reaching for a life that they love. This is amazing. I love it. Art with a purpose. Tell us a little bit about what you do, why you do it, girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? It all started kind of with my story. I had always done art. I had a mural business back in Hamilton, the town where I lived before.
Yeah.
But after having children, and I had to get back into the workforce, to supplement what I was doing at the time, I wanted to get into my artwork. I wanted to create that as my business. And I wanted to paint people. I love, like I said, like you were saying, you read there, people's stories.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to start. And I thought, well, I'm just going to start with my story. And I had been through, a difficult time. I had been through a marriage with abuse in it.
Yeah.
And I left, and I ended up submitting a group of paintings to an art show and getting a solo show based on that experience. It wasn't only that experience, it was other women as well, and what they'd gone through maybe with loss, or my best friend had a difficult diagnosis. So it was kind of like going through grief and difficulty and coming out the other side. And that's what that body of work was about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So doing that, I met a lot of women who really related. In fact, even men. And it resonated with me that people felt so similar to me, and I wanted to keep producing pieces that meant something to people, that explained their emotions. Yeah.
So I mean, I know you've got a really big backstory, and we'll dive into that a little bit soon. But just with your art, you said it was something you always had. Did you then decide, right, I'm going to go learn a bit more, or you just totally taught yourself and decide, I'm going to start painting these people? How did that kind of happen? And when did this happen? This kind of happened around the midlife sort of season sort of thing.
Yes, sort of. Yes. So it started, I took a 1-year course with McMaster University, but it was very, very basic. And then I started a mural painting business. So I would paint kind of what people wanted, landscapes, different things.
Yeah. And
the midlife thing, after having children, getting back into the workforce, that's when I decided I wanted to paint people.
Yeah.
So that's the new. And I did take a little bit of a course. Those 2 little girls on the wall behind me.
So beautiful. I was commenting on them earlier. Beautifully done.
I painted along with a gentleman online and kind of got, the feel for it, and then just kept going. And some of them are horrible. If I pulled out some of my paintings, I'd say, wow.
But that's how you get better, isn't it? So you consciously worked on your craft, didn't you? Yeah.
And I'm still working. There's so much to learn, to learn. I'm always trying new things and learning new things. So, but that's part of the fun of it too, right? It doesn't become stagnant. There's always something new.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you picked up something that you had some talent and love for, and really, got into it and reworked it, because that's what I'm often encouraging women to do, particularly with the arts, because I find a lot of women at midlife, it's all about physical symptoms. Okay, I'm worried about my weight, I'm worried about earning enough money. It's all of those things. And because, you know, I've got a music background, and you probably don't know I've got an art background too. And I find the arts are often the thing that's left neglected, whereas that's the thing sometimes if women pick that up, is that fulfillment. I'm expressing myself again.
It is. It's a healing journey even. You know, I found creating those pieces, I had the music on and I was remembering feelings, and it was a healing experience for me as well.
Absolutely love that. We didn't even talk about the arts thing before, but I won a music scholarship when I was 11 that sent me off to a whole different high school right over the other side of the city. Did that for 5 years, then travelled right across Australia, one side to the other, and managed to get into the conservatorium, which is like your Juilliards in and studied there for another 4 years and performed as a professional player for over 25 years. But art was my other side. I used to sit in my bedroom drawing at midnight and drawing faces in particular, which is, I think, another reason why I've been so drawn to what you do. Just no pun intended. But I just think that art and any of the arts are just neglected in so many ways. We push them aside because we think they're frivolous.
Right.
But they're not. They're so powerful, aren't they?
True. It's true. They are.
How have people reacted when you've given them the portraits that you've painted, where you've captured them? How have they reacted to that?
Well, so many of them are ones being sent. So I don't get to see their reaction but they're usually very happy how I've captured them. And I get a lot of, like you said, people saying that I capture the essence, which is what I really want to do. That's such a desire for me to really capture the person. So sometimes when I'm going to do a portrait of someone, I'll ask to have a Zoom meeting with them or send me lots of pictures, because I need to see, you know, what's that little smile they do, or what's that glint in their eye, that certain little thing. And if I can capture that in that painting, I'm really happy.
That's wonderful. Love it. Yeah. So how long have you been doing this now with your art business?
So it's about 5 years.
Wow.
5 years. Yeah. So not a whole long time, but plugging away and
and I've seen your work online, and we're going to pop all your links up there too, so people can go see what you do, and it's really worth looking at Serena's work, folks. It's not just a pretty picture. It's art that says something and captures something powerful, which is incredible. So obviously a lot of what you pour into your pieces, like you said, originally came out of your story. So you've got a really interesting story, which I think would be really cool for midlife people listening in to hear too, because some people may have had similar experiences. I know I actually have. We've talked about that. But you came out of a very, how can we put this delicately, a very strict group of a certain belief. And that really shaped your world, and you had to re-find yourself, didn't you, with that? Can you tell us a little bit of what happened there?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in that strict religious group, and it was a very limited social group. So everybody kind of stuck together. Lovely people, great. And I really wanted to please God. I was a very believing Christian. And but it came to a point where when I got a divorce, the beliefs didn't quite mesh, and it became a difficult journey to keep that same, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but
to stay in that place sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. And my relationship with God changed. I feel like I got stronger in my relationship with him in a sense, because I was able to connect with what I thought he wanted in my life. And I focus on love and things like that. But not to get too into religion, but so it was tricky. I ended up finding a new relationship with a wonderful man. And because of that relationship, I was shunned.
Shunned. Okay, so
I was shunned.
People who aren't, excuse me, for people who aren't familiar with that term, how would you define shunned? Because it's an experience we've been through too.
Right. Well, no one that I had known in that group, which was like, again, it was very small. Everybody stayed together. So we didn't make friends outside. So everybody I had
your whole world,
been friends with, no longer would talk to me, including family. So
That's
it was really,
hard.
it was a very lonely walk. Thankfully, I had a wonderful therapist. I highly encourage anyone to find a therapist. If they go through something that difficult, because you need someone to be able to talk to about, the difficult things.
So you found yourself single. You've got children, haven't you? So you've
two boys.
Two boys. Single mum, 2 boys.
Yeah.
Been through what you said was an abusive marriage.
Yeah.
And because you've started seeing somebody new, suddenly cut off from all the support system, everything you'd ever known.
Yeah. Yeah.
That must have been such a hard place to be in.
It was. I sometimes look back and wonder how I got through it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still picking up a few pieces here and there, and I'm still healing, but yeah, it was tough. Definitely the art, like I said, was a healing journey. So creating those pieces about, many people's journeys through loss, abuse, sickness was kind of what I had built that group of paintings about. But as I painted them, it was my story. I was painting, and those pieces were, so it was very healing to go through that. But a difficult journey for sure.
Did you find that you were dealing with a lot of grief for what you had lost? And
yes, but it was so funny because it would come out different ways. It would come out as guilt, or it would come out as anger, although I'm not an angry person outwardly, but you can feel the anger inside of you. And when I spoke to the therapist, that's grief. That's all under the grief umbrella. And I thought that was interesting how all these feelings were, had a lot to do with the grief of losing, not only a marriage, because, obviously I was married for 20 years. So I really put my heart and soul into trying to make it work. But then losing a community as well. Yeah. And feeling like the Scarlet Woman. It was tough. And knowing that I was, this new man that was in my life. I'm now married. We got married last August. He's a wonderfully gentle and kind man, and helping my boys to, learn different ways of being. And I'm grateful for that.
So that's a huge journey to go through with grief and loss, and then to come and find love and start to find your own voice through you using your gift of art and everything. It's quite a huge journey, and I'm sure that's made you so much more relatable to other women who have been in the same place. I
feel myself so much more empathetic. I think I've always cared about people, but when you go through something, I think it's so much easier, even if they're not, you can put yourself in their shoes, even if it's not the same thing. Yeah. You can, the level of pain that someone might be feeling, you can feel more empathetic. And then, you can really want to help, because you think back to how you felt, think, oh my goodness, I don't want that person to feel that way too. Yeah. I want them to see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's brilliant. Now, I'm just going to have a look here because I ask all of my guests before they come on, what are 3 key points that you'd really like to share? So I'm actually going to read yours one at a time, because I thought that was so good. So, and then I'll get you to expand on it. So your first point was every part of our journey should be honoured for the lessons it provides and the empathy it can create in us, which is where we're at right now.
Yeah.
So every part of the journey. So you're saying that you've reached a place where you can honour what happened to you, all those black moments. That's huge.
I think when we go through difficult things, we just want to get through them fast, right?
Yeah, true.
Let's just forget about the awful feelings and get to the happy spot. But I think I did that in my marriage. I kept trying to just stuff things, and sorry, I'm going crazy with my hands.
That's so good.
I'm expressive. I don't think it's healthy to do that. Of course, we all know stuffing our feelings isn't healthy. And that's what I mean by honoring. I think we have to acknowledge, this is really crappy what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I'm going to listen to the sad song and I'm going to cry and I'm going to paint or I'm going to run or I'm going to play music or whatever it is that can get those feelings. Let the waves wash over us. Feel it. And once you honor that, I feel like it's like you're accepting it. It's okay. It's bad, you know? And then you can move through it to get to the next level. There's always going to be levels, and I always feel like it's, you know, it's going to kind of come and go in waves. It's not just a linear line. But
no, that's right. Yeah.
But eventually you get out of it.
Yeah. No, I love that. You know, there's a phrase at the moment, I've spoken on this a few times with different people and groups, and that's toxic positivity. And having this, you know, this mentality of, no, I'm good, I'm positive, it's all good, it's all good. And not actually stopping to, you know, acknowledge grief and loss and pain is actually toxic. It's not good for you physically, it's not good for you mentally. And it's not actually good for your kids to witness either, because you're teaching them that they're not allowed to really feel or express what they're going through, don't they?
How true. True. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I think that's really valuable, particularly for women who find themselves, and I've got so many of them in the Rocking Midlife group who have found themselves suddenly facing single life after so many years of being with a partner. But actually that does suck. It does hurt. It does. And there is grief associated, and that is part of your process, isn't it? So, okay, here you go, your second point. We're not alone in our journeys, and I hope my art helps women see that.
Yeah. Just like you said, so many, right? Whatever, and it might be one thing for one woman, like being alone, or it might be grief of a different kind, or a diagnosis, or whatever, you know. So we're all on this planet, and we all get stuff in our life that's hard. But to know that you're not alone, I think that was one of the harder things. I would feel alone sometimes, and I had a few people that I was able to talk to still, and you know, just that kind of lifeline. You know, it's so important. So important.
That was going to be my question. Like, having lost so much of your support base, which is what my husband and I went through too at one stage when we lost people that we thought were our entire community. How did you cope with being single and trying to support yourself and starting dating again after being through a long marriage? How did you cope with all of that without having that solid support? Now, you didn't mention you got yourself a good therapist,
I did.
which I think is brilliant. But did you have to go make new friends? How did you fill that void in your life? Because women tend to need women, don't they?
I reached out to a few older friends, but most were long distance, so that was hard. It was very lonely. I didn't have a lot of time to go make friends, and my kids were still young, so I couldn't leave them and go out in the evening and you know, attend a class or go for a walk, because you know, they were 8 and 11 and would probably beat each other up while I was gone, and they were just too young. I'm still working on that. Honestly, I'm still working on making connections, and of course now COVID-19 kicked in, and it's even harder to make those connections.
That's what technology is fabulous, isn't it?
Yes, that is one of my goals, to keep working on that. But I do have a few good close friends that I've stayed connected with, and they were my lifeline.
That's fantastic. And also you discovered online tribes too, because you and I both ended up at that same conference, and that was through online women. But putting yourself out there, trying new things, and that's my goal, to keep doing that. Brilliant. Love it. Okay, and number 3, here we go, ready for it. There is a way to get through the difficult seasons and use the lessons to create a wonderful life, and it's never too late, which I love, because my personal motto is it's never too late to have a new beginning in life. What are the learnings you've had? How did you get through these difficult seasons? What are the lessons you had that someone else might be able to grab onto and take hope from?
Just basically touching on the same things that we've talked about, is just to, I find when you go through difficult things, you get stronger. So not only the empathy, but you also gain a strength. You think you get through one thing, and you're like, wow, I got through that. Okay. If I got through that, then, you know, the next time that something hits you sideways that you're not expecting, right?
And they do keep coming. They do keep coming, don't they? That's called life.
Yeah. You kind of go, oh, well, I survived last time. Okay, I think I can probably do this one. And as those build up, and I, at like midlife, sometimes they start coming faster, right?
Yeah, they do.
You have to deal with.
Yeah.
You realize, or I realize, that I can get through it. I can do this. I'm a strong person. And
so
then
you become more resilient. Is that sort of what you?
I think so.
With that?
I think so. Yeah, more resilient. Realizing that my voice is okay, because I think my voice, growing up in that community, my voice was very quiet. You just kind of, did what everyone told you. But
you weren't allowed to stand out, were you?
No, it was, So you start to believe that your thoughts are okay, or your decisions, can be okay. And I maybe kind of do know what I'm doing.
Well, there must have been so much unlearning and deprogramming for you to go through, not just from the community that you've broken with, but from what you'd accepted as normal life with your husband, your abusive situation. I can imagine there would have been so much unlearning. And
I'm still going through it. Yeah. I'm still going through it. Yeah. It's definitely easier all the time. But I'll find little things trigger me, and I think, oh, and then I source back, where did that come from? And it's like, okay, that came from here, or that belief came from there, Yeah. And then I have to kind of challenge it. But yeah.
So here you are, you've come through this incredible experience of controlling childhood, adulthood, an abusive marriage. You've worked through so much of the grief and pain associated with both, and the loss of the people in your world. Yeah. How do you feel now? What's next for you? What are you looking towards?
I want to just keep doing my art and creating pieces that encourage women to, like I said, honor those feelings. So not every piece that I create is, always happy. Some of them are more sad. But I am trying. I've kind of gone through that a little bit more now, and I'm trying to create more pieces that are, about strength and about loving yourself as we are, about hope for a better future, just keep connecting with other women. And I like listening too, because, this is my experience, and I've spoken to friends, and it's much of what they've said to me and things I've heard from them and that I bring into my paintings. But the more I learn, the more paintings I get ideas for what I want to create. So that's kind of where I'm hoping to go with all of that. Yeah.
I love it. So you're just basically just going to keep growing and evolving and touching other people's lives with your art.
Yeah. And having their stories touch my life. I learned so much. Yeah.
Oh, that's just wonderful. So, Serena, people are able to find you at serenafineart.com. But like I said, we'll have all the links there. I just want to encourage people, seriously, have a look at what this lady can create. She is so talented, but there's so much heart behind what she creates. We're not talking about someone who just churns paintings out for a livelihood. We're talking about someone who creates purposeful art, and there's such a difference, and you can see that in her work. So I just want to thank you so much for being with me today, and I'm looking forward to promoting this and introducing more people to your talent and your heart.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's been so amazing to talk to you all the way across the pond.
I know. Isn't that wonderful that we can actually get on? And I've got a friend in Canada. Woohoo! And here I am sitting down here in Auckland, New Zealand. And
incredible.
It's just... This is why I love technology, just for the fact that you can connect with beautiful people around the world.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much again, and I look forward to seeing more of you online.
Okay, same here. Talk to you later.
Bye.